Hello, everybody. This is episode 8 of the 18-Wheeler Survival documentary. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back. If you've been following along on this documentary, I really appreciate it. This is my mom,
Hello.
Linda, and the reason why she is here is because I am still in induced coma in the timeline. So I need her to tell the story because I can't. I just want to apologize also with how I may be sounding and how I may look. Um, I am kind of going through it right now with my physical health, and I will speak on that in my next parasite video because it has to do with my parasitic infestation that I'm dealing with. Crazy, right? But anyways, so let's get to it.
All right,
Go
so
ahead, Mom.
I'm just going to take over. So last episode 7, it was Christmas Day, and Sanaya's Aunt Felicia and her cousin Tabby came to the hospital to stay for quite a while. They stayed for quite a while. And, things were going pretty good, for, I don't know, for 2 or 3 days. I mean, things were like kind of steady. We were getting some really good reports and everything. And then on that next day, Wednesday, the 26th, which was Sinai's brother Aaron's and my son's birthday, it was his 14th birthday, and the day after Christmas. And I remember we had to go to the salvage yard to sign off on her car, and well, I had to, and so because it was totaled, of course. And so my friend Denver, he was so kind enough to drive me to the salvage yard, and Sanai's Aunt Felicia came along as well. Very grateful for both of them that day. I'm gonna try not to cry. Okay, so we go to the salvage yard and walk in, and the owner of the salvage yard, give him the information of the car and stuff. And he looks at me and he says, "I'm so sorry for your loss." And I'm thinking, like, he's sorry for the loss of the car. I was like, what? And then Felicia, she caught on really quick. So she says, "Oh, nobody died. Nobody died in the accident." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Are you are you sure? Because I see cars that come in not as bad as that. That was pretty bad. And they're usually fatal accidents." And we're like, "No." And I said, "You told him." I said, "My daughter is in the hospital. She's in the ICU, but her other 2 passengers, they were treated and released the next day." And he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. But then he said, "Okay, so you have to go back and clean out the car and sign off on it." So, but then he said to me, he said, "I recommend somebody else go to clean it out. I don't think you should go clean it out." Um, so I was like, okay. So Felicia volunteered to go and clean the car out. And I don't know if we brought bags or if he gave us bags, but I asked her, I says, "Could you please take some pictures?" And which she did, and she cleaned out the cars. I think pretty good. She was pretty thorough. And we just waited, and Denver and I waited in the office. And when she came back in, when she came back, I mean, she had like her her winter boots, her little Guess boots that had blood all over them. And it was just it was a very difficult that was a very difficult journey that day. And also that day we got the police report in. They sent it to our home address in Delaware. So my husband Rick called to tell me. He says, "We got the police report in." And I was like, "Okay, tell me what they wrote." And a couple of key things was that the truck driver, they had to tow his truck away, the semi, and the 18 wheeler, and they, because it wasn't drivable, they, he was looked at, he, I think he cut his thumb or something. Um, we think that it was because he was texting or, while he was driving. At that time, they didn't have a no texting law in Georgia. Now they do. And but the main thing was when my husband was explaining the the accident scene and the um what do they call it? The statement from the truck driver, because obviously nobody in Sanaya's car could give a statement. The truck driver's statement, um, explaining the accident, and they both had a green light. She was turning, and then she slowed down. And now we found out that it was because her passenger, um, screamed at her to tell her to stop. And so the truck was going about between 45 and 50 miles an hour, hit her. Um, it was head on, but it was like more towards the right hand corner, front corner of the car, of her Ford Escape. But while my husband was reading the police report to me, I had this vision. And I mean, the Lord had been giving me visions like throughout this trip, but this vision was so amazing. And I mean, not that the other vision was equally amazing, but this one was really, it was so vivid and so just amazing. He was explaining the collision, and when he was explaining it to me, I saw this huge angel. I mean, probably a good 10-foot angel, that he was dressed in white. He had a gold sash and a gold belt. And yes, I saw wings. And he had like blondish hair, very long, very full. And he was standing between the front of Sanaya's car and the 18 wheeler. And I saw him take the impact to the point where it was like when he had his arms raised and the truck hit him, and because he was in the middle, and it was just like, and it was just like you could see how he like bent over, and then he raised himself up, and then the vision was over. I thought, my God, you sent an angel to protect her. If that angel hadn't been there, I the impact would have been much greater, much more severe. The injuries would have been much more horrible, and especially to her passenger, I think it would have been much more horrible. Um, so that was an incredible moment, and I can still even picture it right now, how many years later. And thank God for sending his angels. We have angels all around us, and we don't even know it. The Bible says that we entertain angels unaware. So that was a very rough day, that Wednesday. Um, but then the next day was the 27th, and now I'm on day 8 in the hospital. Oh, and another thing that happened on day 7 was she had her first bowel her first bowel movement. So that was good news. That meant that her intestines were working, everything was working. They had to wake up her intestines because they had the NG tube in to keep her everything out of her stomach and keep her intestines kind of dry so that they can heal the where they removed her part of her intestines, and then they did the resection. So they had to allow that to heal. So I remember they were saying we have to wake up her intestines and stuff, and the very young doctor that performed the sutures, his name was Dr. Lee, a Chinese doctor. I remember him coming in at some point, and he was so excited to see her, that she was still alive, and that he found out that she had a bowel movement, so he just had to come in, and he was so excited because he was a student on his externship, and he was the one that did your colonectomy and stitched your colon together again.
Because they had to remove half of my large,
Half of
some
your
of
large,
my
some of your
small,
small,
and then reconnect
and then
it.
reconnect it. So, and he would be very happy to know, Dr. Lee, if you're out there, you'd be very happy to know that they are still working, and you did a great job in stitching her up. Well done. So, so there was some good things, and then there was a lot of hard things that day. And then that next day, which was Thursday, the 27th day, my day 8, both of her day 8 in the hospital. And the doctors came around to do the rounds. And here comes um, one of my favorite mature nurses there, Dr. Grace Rosicki. And she was, remember that she pulled me out of the room and says, "You have to be your daughter's advocate. You're her voice." And she peeks her head in and looks at me, and she was like, how is our star student, our star patient? How is our star patient today? And I was so surprised. I was like, all these people in the ICU, and Sinai is the star patient. And I found out later it's because they don't have people that with her injuries that survive. So this was something new for all of these, especially these new doctors, and they were fabulous. They did a great job. And so um, one thing that I didn't mention also was that every day they would come in, and they would do an X-ray of her chest and just checking her lungs and stuff. Well, the results of the latest ones before that day came back, and um, I think that day they found out you had pneumonia and a collapsed lung. And I just broke. That was like I had I had no more strength left in me. It felt like everything just drained out of me, and I actually had like a huge meltdown in the hallway around all these doctors and the nurses, and I was just like I just want to take her home. I just want to take her home. And I'm crying, and I'm like totally melting down. And the doctors are just like, I remember this one, the one main guy of all the students, he just kind of like stared at me like they didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to say to me at all. And they're like, well, you can't really take her home right now. She's very sick. You can't move her. And I'm like, there's got to be some way. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this by myself anymore. I have to go home. I have to take her home. And then they said, well, we'll talk to somebody, and we'll see about getting a meta plane, or something to fly you guys back home if that's what you really want. And well, of course, that was out of the question because it would have cost like about $25,000, and insurance wouldn't cover it. So it's like, it was, we just, I just had a meltdown, and it was really bad. But um, and then when they told me that she had pneumonia and her lung collapsed, and I just didn't know what else to do. So I told Debbie Sullivan was in the room with me, and she was in the room with Sanaya. I was in the hallway with the doctors, and they said we're gonna have to take her down, and we have to, I think, like, I don't know, blow up her, like, try to inflate her lung, and they gave her new antibiotics for the pneumonia. And I just told Debbie, I was like, I have to go make some phone calls. I have to go make some phone calls, and I have to go worship. It's the only thing I knew what to do. So she was like, okay, I'll stay here with Sanaya. Just go and do what you have to do. So I go into the family room. I'll never forget this moment either. I go into the family room, and the first person I called was my Heather. And I was telling her what was going on because I knew she would pray, and I knew that she would call other people to pray. And I just I just had another meltdown while I'm on the phone. While I'm on the phone with her, I had another meltdown. And I just remember just kind of letting out this, like I don't know if it was a scream or a cry. It was a cry from deep, it was a deep cry. And then I kind of feel sorry for her now because, it was like right in her ear. But I told her, I was like, I have to hang up now. I have to worship. I just have to worship. There was nobody else in the room. I had the place to myself. So I turned on my worship music, and I just started worshiping and worshiping. And I just felt the presence of God just come in. He just came in so strong. So then I called Debbie on the phone, on her cell phone, and I'm like, Debbie, come here, come into the family room. Quick, please. Come in quick. And she didn't know. She didn't know what was going on. So she was there in like a lickety split. She was in the family room, and I'm worshiping. And I told her, I was like, just worship with me. Just worship with me. Worship God. And we just continue to worship. I still have this set of songs on my playlist. And we were just worshiping. And then the next thing I know, this gentleman, his name was Jim, he would come in. Usually he would come in when we had dinner because we had dinner brought in, and there was always enough to share. And he had a loved one in the ICU, so he knew that lunch and dinner, we would always share with him. And he was such a sweet man, and he was a little older, but he came in and he was like, hey, he was probably thinking, hey, what's for lunch? But he was like, hey, and all I could do was go like this. Shh, shh. We're worshiping God right now. And I just closed my eyes, and Debbie, and I just continued to worship. And my music was playing, and we're singing, and we're worshiping God, and we're telling him how great he is and how much we love him. And then I opened my eyes, and Debbie's flat on the ground, face down on the ground, just out. And then Jim was on his knees with his hands raised and tears streaming down his face. I don't even know if this man was saved, but he felt the presence of God. It was so strong. And I knew she was going to be okay. I knew. Again, sometimes we need that reassurance over and over and over again. It was a hard battle. It was a hard battle for you. And even right now, you need reassurance that you're going to get through this time. This is not going to be forever. This is a temporary situation. You got to get rid of these parasites. It's going to be okay. That's it. I'm done today. I'm done for today.
All right. Well, I just want to go ahead and say thank you for never leaving me.
I never will. Just like God said, He would never leave us nor forsake us.
Even when it was hard, you fought. You were my voice. You were my person when I had nobody, and even when you really had only just a couple people, a few people. And you were in a state where you weren't even used to it. You weren't, everything was brand new. You had to learn everything. You're not in the medical field. So it's like everything was brand new to you.
I learned a lot.
And also, I just want to say that, sometimes it seems like things are great, God's working, and then you take about 5 steps back, 10 steps back, and you're just wondering, like, is God still here? Is He still in it? Just wait.
Yes.
Just wait. Just don't stop believing. Don't stop relying on God. Because what other option do you guys have? When it's out of your hands. That's it. But thank you. Sorry, a little emotional. But thank you very much for watching. I hope that you continue to watch and follow along on this documentary, and subscribe and comment, share, and like. I knew I was missing one. And
there's more to come. We're only on day 8.
There's so much more. Seriously. I mean, there's a lot.
It was rough.
But also check out the parasite videos as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's real. Don't think that it's not. I know it sounds crazy, a worm, but it's realistic.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right.
And it's not just a worm.
No, believe me. Anyways, all right, you guys. Thank you very much again, and have a great day. All right.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.